She's a self-starter.
Welcome back to Meaningful Conversations live with Beata. Today is Tuesday. I'm so happy you are here with me. And if you are there, please let me know where are you from, what you do, just where are you happy, what is going on in your life. So I'm coming here every Tuesday at noon Mountain Standard Time to share with you stories of other change makers, the meaningful stories that I hope will help you to add meaning to your life, to raise awareness and inspire transformation. I'm Beata Seweryn-Reid. I'm coach, I'm speaker, and your host for today. Today also I have wonderful, oh my gosh, very special guest, and you can see my smile because her smile is so contagious. You know, you will see in a second. I mean, you can see already, but when she starts talking, it will be even more contagious. So today my guest is Joanna Kleier, and she is a life coach, also speaker, and mom, wife. And so I love what she says about her. I'm human. So welcome, Joanna. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And having you here, it's another just excitement.
Thank you Joanna, so much.
Before we go to our topic today, because today we're gonna talk about from the topic is from victim to champion. And why this topic? Because in my conversations with people recently and generally, we think that when once you are in a victim position, when you are in a victim mindset and the story that defined you at that moment, sometimes people cannot get out of it, and you did it. You went through a victim to the champion. But before we go there, is there anything else that you would like to add about yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, because I went from victim to champion, I want to help as many people as I can go from victim to champion themselves. It's a very slow process, but as we say in the recovery world, one day at a time. I help one person at a time, and I'm hoping that we can create a conversation that will allow people to share their stories that they hide in themselves because of shame and fear and self-doubt. And I want to help people with their mindsets and changing what they think of themselves and give them hope about what they can become. So that's really my goal in this lifetime, is to help as many people as possible with that.
That is fantastic, and I'm so there for you. And I can, if I can support any way, and today as well, I'm all for it. So can we go to your story? Can you share with us what was the time when you felt as a victim, when you felt self-doubt and shame, and how were you able to move forward?
Well, at the point in 2014, I was in the midst of raising two young girls and married and working. I worked overnight at the grocery store for about 9 years so that my husband could take the kids to school and I could pick the girls up from school, because when I had children, I didn't want other people to raise them. And so my mother and my father-in-law helped me with a little babysitting, and I worked part-time. But 9 years of working overnight was very difficult on my body and my system. But as a mother, my mother was the same way. You know, you have the children and you put your all into them, and you protect them, and you want to make sure that they have every opportunity that they can have. So we're fully responsible as parents to take care of our kids. But through working overnight, it was very taxing on my body. I had started having a problem with addiction with alcohol over a period of time, and just kind of functioning one day at a time, just going through life, raising children, raising a family, making sure that, every need was taken care of for them. But in the meantime, I had lost myself in the process. I didn't know how to deal with any kind of stress. And it just kind of built up and built up over time. I would, have alcohol to put me to sleep at night. I felt isolated over time. I didn't want my family to know anything about that. And so over time, it just got exceedingly worse and worse. The addiction got worse and worse. And over time, I was at a store location for 24 years, and I ended up being transferred into a situation that wasn't set up in a good place for me. It felt like I left a long time marriage at my original store location. When I went in the new store location, I found myself in a situation where I didn't feel like I could get out of a bullying situation. I wasn't sure at the time why. And so I was being triggered by, I come to find out later, I was triggered by PTSD from childhood. My dad was an alcoholic. He was a veteran, a war veteran who had extreme PTSD, who would have blackouts, not remember what he had done to his children or to his wife. And I was a child, a victim in that situation. So when I would be in a situation where I felt victimized, it would trigger me, and I would kind of tailspin, and and the addiction kind of just took off, and it totally overwhelmed me and took over. And they call it a disease because you're at a dis-ease in your spirit. You're going through life, raising children, working, providing every need, food, clothing, shelter. And at the time you're younger, so you have all this energy, but you don't realize how taxing it can be over time if you don't care for yourself. So 2014, I found myself in a bad situation at my work, being triggered by bullying situation. I found out later that it was because of my past history with a bullying in the home growing up. And so I didn't have a sense of self-love. I was deep in my addiction. I ended up trying to turn the people in, and it backfired on me. So I ended up in rehab. I put myself in rehab. There's one thing that I had inside was courage. I didn't necessarily know what was going on while I was in my addiction, but now that I'm out of it and I went into rehab and I went into recovery, the recovery process, I got introduced to a 12-step program, and it really helped me a lot in understanding, and Al-Anon as well. If you're a child of an alcoholic, you can go to Al-Anon. So I got the help needed, but it's 2020, and it's taken me a little while to build up my confidence back up because I had a breakdown in 2014.
I will stop you here for a second because you said so many awesome you shared the wisdom and points that I want to highlight it because it's so important. We usually think that the pain, that it's physical, but like you said, that the pain, it is physical because you feel it in you, but nobody else can see it. And you mentioned being bullied. I want to go there. If we can talk more about that, how? Because they are people today, they are experiencing that, how they can protect themselves, because I believe it's about awareness. And the other point that I want to highlight to everyone who's listening, Joanna said that she had unresolved issues from her childhood. She was a victim already in childhood. So everyone listening, we have to, I know sometimes it's so hard to go back and face what happened to us or what, well, for us when we learn later on. But at that point, when we are in pain, to face your inner child, your inner child is probably crying if you feel that inner invisible pain. I've been there, and Joanna is sharing right now at this moment how was it for her. So please, if we can you can give us more reflection on this bullying part, and how did you deal with it? I know that was the part from what you say that pushed you kind of into the alcohol, because it was the numbing part. Yes, we want to numb the pain at all costs sometimes.
Yes, the pain is unbearable at times when you have watched victimization and you are now in a situation where you put yourself in a position of victimization. You don't, because my mom did not ever leave the situation. She was married 41 years to my dad. Thankfully, I will do a side note. Thankfully, my mom was pulled out of the home, and thankfully, they got help. My mom went to Al-Anon, and my dad, they seek counseling. So I was able to see the process of them healing. So that was awesome. Not everybody gets to experience that with their parents.
Right.
It was a tough road. But back to the bullying. What happened for me was, looking back, I was being triggered by past pain.
Right.
And when I was being triggered by past pain, I would go into fight or flight mode, and I would make the best out of a bad situation. When that happened, I would reel, and I didn't know what to do. So the numbing comes from the reeling. You don't have the tools at that time. So
Right.
you have to seek help to get the tools to know how to understand what's going on. So it's education, but first it's awareness. But sometimes you have to get to the bottom first. So unfortunately, it's just a part of life. Hitting rock bottom is a part of life at times. But we can, that at the bottom point is a revival point, because you can get up and you can realize, I can do this. I want to be better. I have children. I have a husband. I have a family that loves me very much. And I was at that point where I hit bottom, and there was only one way to go, up. And not everybody has courage, but if you get help, there are people out there that can help you find the courage to push through. And that's why I fully support groups, groups of 2 or 3. It allows you to feel have a safe space and share your story. That's where it began for me. But at the time of me being bullying, I didn't know what the tools were, and I was not even aware what was going on until later, till I started putting 2 and 2 together. So when you're a child in that environment, what happens is, when you're adult in that environment, it just triggers you, those old pains, it triggers you. And that's what I've become aware of. The awareness of the triggering, and then being aware of it and getting help. And that's where I come in as a life coach. Get them to understand why they're in the situation they are, how they can notice what's going on. And so I want people, that's the first step, is knowing what's going on at the time, because you don't know.
Absolutely. And I second what you just said. Awareness of the triggering. It's so important. And without awareness, we don't have clarity. Yes, because you said, like, I don't know what this was going on. So then you also fight and flight. Yeah, the mode. You are paralyzed to take actions, and without actions, that seeking help is an action. But when you don't feel like you are in power, you just live in what is. And where sometimes it's good to live in what is when you are happy and in healthy environment, when you are not, it's not too good to stay there. Take actions and seek help. Oh my goodness, there is so much. And you said seek help, education. Yes, the first step, get aware and seek education. Because even if you go online, like you said, and seek that what is happening with me, what these feelings are, and if someone is bullying you, oh my gosh, I don't have that triggers, so my reaction is I fight. Yeah. If someone would bully me, I would punch. Yeah. Like, no, you don't come, don't cross my lines. But sometimes we don't have that awareness, like you said, because you brought it, you attracted with you from your childhood. And we don't know what we don't know.
Nope. It's
All right.
familiarity. It's
Exactly. And you said at the beginning, the self-doubt, no self, what is it, the word? Now I forgot English word.
self-love.
Yes, self-worth. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That someone in my conversation in past said that bullying and being in a victim mindset, it's taking all power from you. You feel disempowered and you feel like you have
Yes.
no, there is nothing that you can do. And that is not true, yes, but you have to seek the education and you have to seek help. So what is next? So then what? You got aware, you found support group, and what is important in your case, I think you had your family on your side, yes, like your husband, your kids, they were there for you. But how about people that they feel lonely, they don't have that support, or maybe
Well,
because they are just hiding because they are
well,
ashamed of.
I hid for a very long time because number one, your first emotional response is fear. Uh, a byproduct is shame and isolation. And
Yeah.
so that's where I found myself at, in isolation. I had it's almost like having a double life where the outside people think it's one way and then the inside it's not.
Yeah.
And so it's a kind of like, I've heard the words used recently, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's a psychotic, from what I've learned for myself, it's a psychotic break.
Mm.
And it's just the body trying to protect you.
Yes.
Um, I was talking one time in a hospital when my father-in-law was in the hospital to a spinal injury doctor, and we were talking about the fight or flight response works both ways, for the good and for the bad too as well.
Mm.
Because the body
Wow.
will protect you from being able to see what the truth is when you're in the trauma so deep.
Absolutely.
But the fight or flight response is also a good thing to protect your body, you know. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so it's hard to know when you're at that point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's too many people right now at that point where they have no support, or they're isolated because they've done that to themselves because they didn't know what to do. And
Right.
so to create awareness, like you said, is very important. Awareness. That's why life changers like us, or life coaches, we're there to make people aware and help people see, not to be afraid to face their fears.
I love it. Do not be afraid to face your fears, because only when you go through the fear, you're going to find yourself. And that brings me to the next question. You said that you lost the identity at some point. You didn't know who you are. Do we
Well,
really lose it, or how does it work? How
um,
was it for you? What does it
me,
mean?
okay, me personally, I think with all the childhood trauma, that there was a lot of things that was shoved way down deep. When we have parents that are in unhealthy, volatile relationships, we as children are, a lot of it, stress is put on our bodies that should not be put on us as children. And so I think that our body has protected us for so long, and we're defined by our outside world so much and affected by that, because with fight or flight, that's our id response, the animal response. It's not the thought response.
Yeah.
And knowing who you are is a thought response. It was not developed in trauma as child. In a childhood state, you're just like a sponge. You're absorbing all of it, without knowing why till later.
Yes.
So it's a journey, but the thing is, seek help, find a safe space. If someone asks you how you're doing, you tell them. If you feel safe with them, tell them that you're not doing very well. Find a safe space or a safe person. Um, that that is where the starting point is. Um, everybody's at different levels. Everybody's experienced different traumas. There have been people that have experienced worse traumas than myself. I
Right.
have more observed traumas. So there's different layers that builds up and builds up and builds up. And you can't find yourself when you're covered in chaos and trauma. You have PTSD, and it really clouds your ability to have good cognitive thought.
Yeah.
When I was in rehab, they told me with all those stresses, it shuts down your cognitive brain.
Mm.
And then you fully become that id takes over. That's why you have a lot of people that are bullies. Hopefully, the victims can notice that with a bully, they will be angry towards you or spiteful because of their insecurity, and they will try to beat you up emotionally with that. And so that is the first recognition that I noticed.
Oh, I love it because I wanted to ask, how do I know that I'm bullied? So I first
When
of all,
you,
I don't feel safe because they attack me. Yes.
well, you're not feeling safe, and you're not, something doesn't feel right within your spirit.
Okay.
There's an uncomfortability. When
Okay.
things are going right, you feel good. Your body feels good. And so when things are going wrong, there's just all these sensors that go up.
Okay. So today you are on the other side of the bridge.
Yes.
Yes. So, and I know because I said I would never know your story because you're always smiling. You're always excited for life, for others, helpful, just the bright Joanna. And she will bright your day as soon as you open your Facebook. It's what she does to me. Anyway, so we hide that I mean, you already work it through, but some people they hide. So,
No, I mean, yeah, you have to say, there's sayings like easy does it. If it's
okay,
not one day at a time, one moment at a time,
one moment at the time. Yes.
1 second at a time. There's a whole, and breathe, because we're not breathing. But the one thing that I would say is, if you can remove yourself from the situation, do so. When you're a child, you have no choice sometimes, because you're a child and you're scared. So, we need to, as adults, pay attention to that. When a child is telling us something, they're
Abs-
telling us because they're giving us a warning sign that something's wrong, you know.
that brings me the thought that the mental health starts at home, and parents, it starts with you. And listen to your children, listen to your child. And first of all, I think every parent should have a coach or go through some kind of therapy and deal with their own shit. It's, I'm gonna say, because everyone
That's
has
okay.
shit from the past, from their own childhood. So you don't pass it on. So you don't put this baggage that does not belong to your kids on them.
Yes.
So that is very important.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, yes.
yeah,
Some of
go
us
ahead.
have more wisdom. Some of us are born with more wisdom than others.
Right.
I was born with more wisdom. So with my own children, I was protecting them a lot from negativity. If I felt like they weren't safe, I would be right next to them, only because of what I went through. Um, I learned not to project my problems as an adult onto my children.
Yes, that is so important.
I knew what it did to me, so I didn't want to do it to my children.
That is so
But
important
yeah,
because when you use that power as a parent, that your children starts to feel responsible for your pain, it just sucks. It's just not healthy
It
for
does.
anyone.
Unfortunately, a lot of parents don't realize what they're doing because a lot of parents have shame and fear,
Right.
and they don't know themselves either because of their childhood. So I share when I'm in a counseling session, I use these words. We are our children's avatar about what is normal.
Absolutely.
Whether it's good, whether it's bad. We have a responsibility as parents to own our responsibility as parents. But when you're constantly victimized as a child, you don't have the tools and you don't know any better, in all honesty. So it's about being honest. It's about being aware. It's about understanding people, and it's about having empathy through understanding. And so being a person of yourself, a life coach, me of myself as a life coach, through our life's experiences and our journey and our championship and what we've gone through, it's the best gift we can give to just one person. Start with one and it will spread.
Yeah, and I would just add, start from yourself.
That's correct.
With yourself. Start with yourself, because
yes,
all
it
change
begins with
start
me.
within. Yes, I love it. We have quite a couple people saying hi to us. Thank you so much, Seweryn-Reid. There is Garlene, my friend. She is a psychologist, and she says, I salute your spirit and scope of the present that you are living in. Yes, that definitely. Garlene also says, it's a great way to get going with assistance from expert souls. Definitely. We have also, which I can see on my laptop, but I can see you on my phone. It's Margarita Ortiz. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, yeah, now I don't know what to say. Yeah, no, I know. Well, I want to say thank you, everyone who is joining us. And now is the best time to ask questions. If you have any question to Joanna, she said before we get on that interview that she's an open book. So you can ask her and she will really share and advise you from the bottom of her heart, because she is real. She went through real shit and she's on the other side. She is the bright light right now, sharing her light and peace and happiness with others. So please ask the questions now. Let me see. Garlene said, God bless you. Yes. One voice at a time can make a difference. Absolutely. That's why we are here. That's why I created that show, so we can share with you and others that change is possible. Change is good. Even at some point in our life, we think that we hit the brick wall, that there is no way out. Then I would just remind what Joanna said: seek education, seek help, and you will be good. And start with yourself. Every change starts with you. Do we have any questions? Oh, I think we do have. Joanna, okay, Garlene, love you, girl. Joanna, what makes you feel empathic now than before? Is it because of the struggle or your nature was such as a kid?
I think that it's just the journey from birth. I have just turned 50. And so I've gone through.
And she looked like 30, by the way.
I raised children. I've been married almost 25 years. I come from strong stock. My dad was a veteran. My mother they were fighters. They went through a whole lot of things. They were champions in their own right. And the impact they had on me was huge once they got help. It was huge. And it taught me that because they got help, I can get help.
Mm. And that you were not afraid to ask for help. I think it was your power. You recognize that you are not in a good place, that you need help and I'm not, like you said, you didn't know it at that time, but you had courage. I always say, have courage to ask. Have courage to ask for help. It's help. Asking for help is not a shame. It's actually a bravery.
It is. It's a great tool, but our parents actually teach us not to let anybody know,
Right.
because what's going out there, they don't want, because of their own shame, they don't want people to know what's going on in the house. And so you want to put it's like no one does. I think all human beings don't want anybody to know that they have problems.
Absolutely, because it's just, I mean, it's what we are taught that it's a weakness. Yes, if you have a problems, it means that you are weak, and a weakness, it's not trendy. Yes, it's not true. When whatever weakness you feel like you have, it's your strength if you transform it into, yes, when you go through it. And we all do go through some crazy stories, crazy experiences that are not serving us at that time. But now, when you take responsibility for what was happening, when you face your fears, when you look at them face to face and you take responsibility, you're gonna end on the other side of this bridge that sometimes seems so long and you are afraid to cross it. Well, Joanna is on the other side, and I won't just ask you, so how do you feel as a champion now? What is the feeling, and how do you share your power with people at the moment?
Well, in recovery, when we're in groups of people where we feel safe, we can share whatever's going on in our lives that's on our heart, that's heavy. And also that allows for you to feel safe. So that's the first step. The feeling of feeling safe is the first step into becoming a champion. And we don't realize it when we're at the bottom, that there are people that are there around us that want to help. It's just we don't want to let them know. So if I were to say anything to encourage people, when someone's asking you if you need any help, or is there something going on, I care about you, and you can trust them, they've given you reason to trust them, go to them and just start talking to them. And that is a great beginning point.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing today. Oh my God, this is so personal story, and you're so open about it, and I love it, because only through real stories we can solve real challenges in life. And my last question is how people can find you, how they can get to know you more.
I have a Facebook page, Joanna Kleier. I also have one, The Flying Chameleon, the emotional first responder, which I have to give credit to Dr. John E. Gray for that. He made that title up for me, so I added it to the Facebook page, The Flying Chameleon. I also have your voice, your voice, your story, your legacy Facebook page. I have Twitter, Kleier at Kleier-Joanna. I also have a blog. I have a blog, bullyrecovery.net.
And when people go to your Facebook page, they can find all the rest of there are directions.
Yes.
What else
at the top of my Joanna Kleier are all my groups.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And please do not hesitate to reach out to Joanna. She is really the sweetest heart, and she will help with everything what she can. And especially when you are in a challenging situation, where you feel like a victim, when is it a doggy? Hi, doggy. I love
it. Oh, here. Hi, doggy. Say hi.
Hi, my love.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Popular now.
Cute. Okay. See, her dog is loving her right now. This
is my friend's
person.
Okay.
So yes, again, if you deal with any challenges, when if you feel like you are in this
Sure.
uncomfortable space of victim energy, reach out to Joanna, reach out to me. I can connect you with her. And
yes, and I can give resources. I am good at resourcing.
don't deal by yourself with what you're going through, because together we can solve it. We can find a solution.
Yes. Les Brown, I want to finish this one
Yes,
quote.
please.
Les Brown says, "Good will prevail if good men and women do nothing." I am so grateful for Les Brown and John Tellerico, for them opening up their hearts, opening up their education, opening up their success for people to have a voice. It's a great beginning point for good to prevail. I'm excited. Thank
And
you, Abida.
thank you, Joanna. And just summarize what you just said. You do have a voice, and your voice matters. So do not stay quiet when you are in situations that you should scream for help. So please reach out to us, and we are happy to help, or reach out to someone who you really trust, groups, friends, family, whoever you feel like will be open to listen. Thank you so very much. It was wonderful to have you on my show, Joanna. I'm sure you will be back. And everyone who was listening today, thank you so much. God bless you. And please share this episode with someone who you know, or maybe just with your Facebook friends or other social media, because you never know who might need our help, or just to hear that message. And today, in this crazy world that we live in, which is good on one side, but like you, Joanna, said, so many people feel lonely and like they don't have a choice. Yes, you do have a choice. Seek for help. And if whoever is listening to that episode, share with your family, friends, whoever you know might need it. Thank you so very much. God bless you again. And
God bless you too. Thank you.
thank you. See you next Tuesday at noon. Meaningful conversations for meaningful life. Thank you. Bye
You're
bye.
awesome, Beata. You're awesome.
Thank you, Joanna. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much.